Jia Kim looked out of her bedroom window at the tall buildings of New Seoul. The morning sun made the glass towers shine. She sighed and turned to look at herself in the mirror. A thin, small girl of 17 stared back at her. "Fragile Jia," she whispered to herself. That's what everyone called her at school. She touched the medical alert bracelet on her wrist. The rare condition she was born with made her bones and muscles seem weak to doctors. But Jia knew something no one else did. Her comm device beeped with a message from her mother. "Don't forget your medicine. Stay safe at school today." Jia rolled her eyes. Her parents meant well, but they treated her like she might break at any moment. She grabbed her school bag and headed out, carefully avoiding her parents in the kitchen. She didn't want another lecture about being careful. At school, Jia walked quietly through the hallways, trying not to draw attention. It didn't work. "Look out for Fragile Jia," called Minho, the biggest boy in her class. "Don't bump into her, or she might shatter." Laughter followed her as she hurried to her desk. Jia kept her eyes down and her face calm. Let them laugh. They didn't know what she could do. During lunch, everyone gathered around the large screens in the cafeteria. An emergency broadcast was playing. "Citizens of Earth," said a serious-looking woman in a military uniform. "We have made first contact with an alien race called the Terok." The screen showed a tall, muscular being with tough, gray skin and 4 eyes. "The Terok have demanded that Earth provide human fighters for their arenas. If we refuse, they threaten to invade." Gasps and cries filled the cafeteria. Jia watched silently, her heart beating fast. "All citizens between 16 and 30 years old must report for combat testing." The woman continued. "We will send only our strongest to represent Earth." Minho puffed out his chest. "I'll definitely be chosen," he boasted. "They need strong fighters, not weaklings." He looked directly at Jia. Later that night, when her parents were asleep, Jia locked her bedroom door. She pushed her bed aside and opened a hidden panel in the floor. Below was a small black device, an illegal neural combat simulator she had bought with years of saved allowance. Jia put the headset on and entered the virtual training space. Here, in this digital world, her physical limitations didn't matter. The program began, and Jia's body moved with a speed and precision that would shock anyone who knew her. For 3 years, she had trained in secret. When other teens were sleeping, Jia was mastering fighting techniques from all over Earth. Techniques that didn't rely on strength, but on perfect timing, balance, and knowledge of anatomy. The simulator presented a new opponent, a figure similar to the Terok alien shown on the news. Jia studied its movements, noting how it relied on forward power, how it left its sides exposed when attacking. She moved like water around its strikes, finding weak points and pressure points. When the session ended, Jia was breathing hard but smiling. The screen showed her score, 99.8% efficiency. She hid the simulator and moved her bed back. Tomorrow, the government would begin testing young people across the city. Her parents would try to stop her from going. They would show the testers her medical records and beg for an exception. But Jia had already decided. She would be tested. She would show everyone what they had missed while judging her by her appearance. As she lay in bed, Jia looked at the ceiling and whispered, "The strongest weapon isn't always a fist. Sometimes it's what others can't see coming." Outside, the news about the Terok played on repeat on every screen in New Seoul. Fear spread through the city. But in her quiet room, Jia felt something different growing inside her. Not fear, opportunity. The testing center was a large building that used to be a sports arena. Now it was filled with military equipment and testing pods. Jia stood in line with hundreds of other young people. She had left home early, leaving a note for her parents. "Next," called a tired-looking woman at the check-in desk. Jia stepped forward and handed over her ID card. The woman's eyes widened when she saw Jia's medical file pop up on her screen. "There must be a mistake," the woman said. "With your condition, you shouldn't be here." "There's no mistake," Jia said firmly. I have a right to be tested, like everyone else. The woman looked uncertain, but waved Jia through. Section C, Pod 12. But don't say I didn't warn you. As Jia walked to her assigned pod, she passed Minho and his friends. They were showing off, doing push-ups and comparing muscle size. Fragile Jia. Minho laughed when he saw her. What are you doing here? This is for fighters, not hospital patients. Jia kept walking, her face calm even as her hands shook slightly. She reached Pod 12 and found a stern-looking man waiting there. His uniform showed he was a high-ranking officer. I am Commander Du, he said, looking down at his tablet. And you must be Kim Jia. He frowned at her file. This must be wrong. Your medical condition makes you ineligible. Sir, Jia said politely but firmly. The announcement said all citizens between 16 and 30. I am 17. I have a right to try. Commander Du looked annoyed. Fine. It's your time to waste. But don't expect special treatment when you fail. Jia entered the testing pod. It was similar to her simulator at home, but more advanced. She put on the neural headset and waited for instructions. The test has 3 parts, said a computerized voice. Reaction time, spatial awareness, and tactical decision-making. Begin. The virtual world formed around her. Jia's body relaxed as she fell into the familiar state of focused calm she had practiced for years. The first test sent objects flying at her from all directions. Jia moved with precision, dodging or deflecting each one with minimal movement. The second test placed her in a changing maze, where she had to find optimal paths while avoiding traps. The third put her against simulated opponents with different fighting styles. Outside the pod, Commander Du was joined by a quiet man in a plain uniform with no rank markings. Who's in Pod 12? Asked the newcomer. Just a sick girl who shouldn't be here, replied Commander Du. She'll be done soon. But as minutes passed, both men began to watch the performance metrics with growing surprise. The scores kept climbing. Inside the pod, Jia moved like water, each action flowing perfectly into the next. When the final opponent fell, she stood calmly in the center of the virtual arena, barely breathing hard. The pod opened. Jia stepped out to find Commander Du staring at his tablet in disbelief. 99th percentile in reaction time, he read. 99th in spatial awareness. 98th in tactical decision-making. He looked at Jia with new eyes. How is this possible? The man beside Commander Du studied Jia carefully. My name is Captain Hyun, he said. That fighting style, it's not in our standard database. Jia straightened her shoulders. I taught myself. Commander Du shook his head. Even with these scores, your physical limitations. With respect, sir, interrupted Captain Hyun. The Tarak value warriors who can think, not just those who can punch. He turned to Jia. I would like to speak with you privately. As Jia followed Captain Hyun to a quiet corner, she could feel eyes on her, including Minho's shocked stare. For the first time in her life, people were seeing her, really seeing her, and they couldn't believe what they saw. Captain Hyun led Jia to a small room away from the noise of the testing center. The walls were plain gray with just a table and 2 chairs inside. He closed the door and faced her. You're not just good, Jia. You're special, he said. The way you move. I've only seen it in old records. Jia sat straight in her chair. What do you mean? Captain Hyun pulled out a small device and placed it on the table. It projected a video of fighters using techniques very similar to Jia's. These are from ancient Earth martial arts, he explained. Fighting styles created for people who were smaller or physically weaker than their opponents. They were designed to use an enemy's strength against them. Jia watched with wide eyes. The movements were like looking in a mirror. How did you learn this? Captain Hyun asked. Jia hesitated, then told him about her secret simulator. I could get in trouble for having it. Captain Hyun shook his head. Right now, I care more about how you fight than how you learn to fight. He leaned forward. Do you know anything about the Tarok? Only what was on the news, Jia said. The Tarok are physically stronger than humans, Captain Hyun said. But my team has been studying them. They have weaknesses. He pointed to parts of his own body. Poor side vision. Sensitive nerve points here and here. Slow to change direction when running. Jia nodded. Like the practice opponent in my simulator last night. Captain Hyun looked surprised. Your simulator had a Tarok model. That's interesting. He studied her face. Jia, the fighting style you've mastered is exactly what might work against the Tarok. My team developed a combat system based on these principles, but we never had the right person to use it. What do you mean? Asked Jia. Most of our top fighters rely on strength and power. They've trained that way their whole lives. They can't suddenly change to a completely different style. Captain Hyun smiled slightly. But you've been training this way from the start. Jia felt her heart beat faster. You think I could fight the Tarok? I think you might be our best chance, said Captain Hyun. But I need to see more. He stood up. Will you show me what you can really do? Not in a simulator, but in real life. Jia hesitated. Her parents had always made her avoid physical activity. They worried she would get hurt, but they weren't here now. Yes, she said firmly. Captain Hyun led her to a small training room. He picked up a padded fighting staff and handed another to Jia. Don't hold back, he said. Jia took a deep breath. Then she moved. What happened next amazed even Captain Hyun. Jia's movements were quick and precise. She didn't try to match his strength. Instead, she redirected his attacks, found gaps in his defense, and used his own momentum against him. Within minutes, Captain Hyun found himself on the floor, Jia's staff gently touching his chest. Where did you learn that last move? He asked, getting up. It wasn't in the simulator program. I created it, Jia said simply. Captain Hyun nodded slowly. Jia, I want to offer you something. A place in a special training program. We have a secret facility where I believe we can prepare you to face the Tarok. But what about my condition? Jia asked. Commander Du said. Commander Du thinks only of traditional strength. Captain Hyun interrupted. But sometimes the greatest strength comes from understanding one's weaknesses. He held out his hand. Will you come with me? Jia thought of her parents, of school, of all the people who had ever called her Fragile Jia. She took Captain Hyun's hand. I will. Outside the room, Commander Du was waiting with a deep frown on his face. What's going on here, Captain? Sir, Captain Hyun said formally, I'm recruiting Kim Jia for Project Shadow. Commander Du's eyes widened. That's above your rank, Captain. Actually, sir, Captain Hyun said, showing him a special clearance code. It's not. The secret facility was deep underground. Jia followed Captain Hyun through long hallways lit by blue lights. Above them, she could hear the sounds of many people training. Those are the prime candidates, Captain Hyun explained. The strongest fighters from all over Earth. They train in the main facility. We'll be working below. They entered a large room filled with strange equipment. 3 people were waiting for them. Meet your team, Captain Hyun said. This is Sun, our weapons expert. A short, muscular woman with gray hair nodded at Jia. She looked tough, with scars on her hands. This is Minji, your combat instructor. A tall woman with perfect posture smiled warmly. I was a gymnast before joining the military, she said. I understand using balance instead of power. And this is Tai, our tech genius. A young man barely older than Jia waved from behind a computer screen. I design custom equipment, he said, and I'll be monitoring your progress. This team has been studying the Tarok for months, Captain Hyun told Jia. Now they'll help you prepare to face them. Sun stepped forward. First, let's see what we're working with. She tossed Jia a practice weapon that looked like a short staff. Show me your best moves. For the next hour, Jia demonstrated everything she knew. The teen watched closely, occasionally making notes. Good foundation. Sun said when they finished. But the Terok won't fight like humans. They have different strengths and weaknesses. That's where I come in, said Ta. He projected a detailed image of a Terok warrior. Look here and here. He pointed to spots on the alien's neck and sides. These are nerve clusters. Hit these right, and even a Terok will feel pain. And they have poor side vision, added Minji. If you move here, she stepped to the side. They have trouble tracking you. Best of all, Sun said with a small smile, they hate certain sounds. Their hearing is sensitive in ways ours isn't. For the next week, Jia trained harder than ever before. Each morning started with Minji teaching her movements designed to exploit the Terok's poor peripheral vision. Afternoons were spent with Sun, learning to target the alien's weak points with perfect precision. Evenings were for work with Ta, who created special devices that could produce sounds painful to Terok ears. The sound is your secret weapon, Tai explained, showing her small devices to attach to her armor. Use them only when you need them most. One day, during training, Captain Hyun brought visitors. Commander Du and 2 other officers. Show them, Captain Hyun said to Jia. Jia faced a training dummy shaped like a Terok. She moved with lightning speed, striking key points while staying in the dummy's blind spots. When she finished, the computer showed that every hit had been perfect. Commander Du looked impressed despite himself. Good, he admitted, but can she handle a real opponent? Let's find out, Captain Hyun said. He called in a tall, strong man from the upper facility, one of the prime candidates. This is Jin, Captain Hyun said. He'll play the role of a Terok. Jin looked at Jia and laughed. This is a joke, right? No joke, Captain Hyun said. Begin. Jin rushed forward, confident and powerful. Jia waited until the last moment, then moved to his side. As he turned to follow, she was already behind him. She tapped 3 points on his back in quick succession. Jin's right arm went numb. What the? Before he could finish, Jia had moved again. 2 more precise strikes, and Jin was on his knees, unable to stand. Pressure points, Sun explained to the stunned officers. The Terok have similar vulnerabilities, just in different locations. Commander Du watched as Jin struggled to his feet, his face red with embarrassment. Maybe, Commander Du said slowly, there's more than one way to fight. That night, as Jia rested in her quarters, she thought about how far she had come. For the first time in her life, her supposed weakness had become her greatest strength. No one called her Fragile Jia here. Tomorrow would be even harder, but Jia was ready. 2 weeks remained before the Terok would arrive to collect Earth's fighters. The entire training facility buzzed with activity and nervous energy. In the main hall, Commander Du called all candidates together for an important announcement. Jia stood at the back of the crowd, trying not to draw attention. Around her were the prime candidates, men and women with perfect bodies and years of combat training. Jin, the fighter she had defeated days ago, kept his distance from her, still embarrassed. Attention. Commander Du's voice silenced the room. The Terok will arrive in 14 days. Based on our final assessments, only 5 of you will represent Earth in their arena. Whispers spread through the crowd. Only 5. There were over 50 candidates in training. The selection will be based on overall performance scores, Commander Du continued. The top 5 candidates will be announced tomorrow morning. That night, Jia could not sleep. She had worked harder than ever before, mastering techniques that no other fighter used. But would it be enough? The prime candidates had raw physical abilities she could never match. The next morning, all candidates gathered again. Commander Du stood on a platform with a tablet in his hand. I will now announce Earth's 5 champions, he said. The room went completely silent. First, Li Da, physical combat score, 98. Overall ranking, first. A tall, muscular man stepped forward, his face showing no surprise. Everyone knew Dai was the best traditional fighter. Second, Park Ji, physical combat score, 97. Overall ranking. Second, a woman with short hair and powerful arms joined Da on the platform. Third, Kang Wu. Physical combat score, 96. Overall ranking. Third. Fourth, Han Yu. Physical combat score, 94. Overall ranking. Fourth. Fifth, Cho Min. Physical combat score, 93. Overall ranking. Fifth. Jia felt her heart sink. 5 names had been called, and hers was not among them. She had failed. All other candidates, thank you for your service, Commander Du said. You will return to your normal lives tomorrow. As the crowd began to break up, Captain Hyun approached Jia. Come with me, he said quietly. He led her to a small meeting room, where Commander Du was waiting with a serious expression. Kim Jia, Commander Du said. Your final ranking was 6th, just 1 place short. Jia nodded, fighting back tears. I understand, sir. However, Commander Du continued, we have received new intelligence that changes everything. He activated a screen on the wall showing images of Terok warriors training. Our spies have discovered that the Terok have been studying human fighting styles for months, Captain Hyun explained. They know exactly what to expect from our strongest fighters. They've trained specifically to counter Earth's traditional combat techniques. Jia looked at the images, seeing Terok warriors practicing against human-like opponents. They're prepared for fighters like Da and the others, Commander Du said. But they've never seen anything like your style. Jia's eyes widened. What are you saying? I'm saying, Commander Du leaned forward, that sending only our physically strongest might be a mistake. We need someone unexpected, someone whose fighting style they couldn't have prepared for. You want me to go? Jia asked, hardly believing it. Commander Du nodded. As the 6th member of Earth's team. But you said only 5. I said what the Terok expected to hear, Commander Du interrupted. They demanded 5 fighters. We're sending 6. You will be our secret weapon, Jia. Captain Hyun put a hand on Jia's shoulder. The team knows. They're ready for this change in plans. Jia stood straight, her mind racing. All her life, people had underestimated her. Now that very fact might save Earth. When do we leave? She asked. Tomorrow, Commander Du replied. The Terok ship arrives at dawn. As Jia left the room to prepare, she passed Da and the other prime candidates. They looked at her with confusion. Why is she still here? Dai asked loudly. Didn't she fail to make the team? Jia kept walking, a small smile on her face. Let them wonder. Soon enough, they would all understand. The Terok ship was huge, dark, and shaped like a blade. It landed outside New Seoul just as the sun rose. Earth's fighters gathered with their small bags of personal items, watching as the ship's door opened with a hiss of steam. 3 Terok warriors walked out. They were even more frightening in person, over 7 feet tall with gray, tough skin and 4 yellow eyes that moved independently. Their muscles looked like rocks under their skin. Humans, the lead Terok spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. I am Commander Crag. You will board now. Dad, the top-ranked fighter, stepped forward first. The other prime candidates followed. Jai, Wu, Yu, and Min. Jia came last, keeping her head down. Commander Crag's eyes narrowed when he saw her. What is this small one? He asked, pointing at Jia. Commander Du stepped forward. This is Earth's 6th fighter. We demanded 5. Crag growled. The treaty allows for substitutes in case of injury, Commander Du said calmly. She comes as our alternate. Crag stared at Jia for a long moment. Then he made a sound like rocks grinding together. A Terok laugh. This small one will not survive the first round, he said. Very well. 6 it is. Inside the ship, the humans were led to a large room with 6 sleeping pods. You will remain here during the journey, Crag told them. 3 days to our homeworld. Do not leave this room. When the Terok left, Day turned to Jia with angry eyes. "What are you doing here?" he demanded. "You didn't make the team." "Commander Du added me," Jia said simply. "As an alternate?" Ji asked. "That makes no sense. You're the weakest one here." "Maybe there's more to strength than muscles," said a quiet voice. It was Han Yu, the fourth-ranked fighter. Unlike the others, he was lean rather than bulky. "Stay out of this, Han," Dai snapped. "This is between me and the fragile girl." Jia felt a flash of anger at the old nickname. "My name is Jia," she said firmly. Day stepped closer, using his height to tower over her. "You don't belong here, fragile Jia. You'll embarrass Earth when the Terraks see how weak we are." Han stepped between them. "Leave her alone, Dai. We all have enough to worry about." Day glared at Han, then turned away. "Just stay out of our way," he told Jia before going to his sleeping pod. Later, when the others were resting, Han approached Jia. "Don't mind Dai," he said. "He's scared, like all of us." "You stood up for me," Jia said. "Why?" Han smiled slightly. "Because I know what it's like to be underestimated." He held out his hand. "My father was sick his whole life. He taught me that true strength isn't always visible." Jia shook his hand, surprised to find an ally. On the second day, Commander Crag invited the humans to observe Terrak warriors training. Through a large window, they watched as the aliens battled each other with brutal force. "Our champions," Crag said proudly. "They have defeated fighters from 12 different worlds." Jia watched carefully, noting how the Terrak moved. Just as her training had shown, they relied on forward power and had poor awareness to the sides. Their nerve clusters were visible when they raised their arms to strike. "Impressed, small one?" Crag asked, noticing Jia's intense observation. "Just curious," Jia answered softly. Crag made that grinding rock laugh again. "Curious? You should be terrified. These warriors will break you like a twig." That night, as the others slept, Jia practiced her movements silently in a corner of the room. She went through each technique, visualizing Terrak opponents. Han woke and watched her for a while. "You don't fight like us," he said. Jia paused. "No, I don't." "Good," Han said simply. "Maybe that's exactly what we need." On the third day, the ship began to descend. Through the windows, Jia could see the Terrak homeworld, a harsh planet with red skies and tall, sharp mountains. "We have arrived," announced Crag as he entered their room. "Tomorrow, you fight for Earth's fate." Jia took a deep breath. All her training, all her life being underestimated, it had led to this moment. She was ready. The Terrak arena was bigger than anything Jia had ever seen. It was a massive circle carved from red stone, with tall walls rising hundreds of feet into the air. Thousands of aliens from different worlds filled the seats, their strange voices creating a roar that shook the ground. The Earth fighters were taken to a small room beneath the arena. The walls were covered with marks, tallies left by previous fighters, Jia realized. Some walls had hundreds of marks. Others had only one or two. "Each mark represents a victory," Commander Crag explained, seeing Jia looking at them. "Most fighters don't live long enough to make more than one mark." Crag pointed to a wall with no marks at all. "This will be Earth's wall." Day stepped forward, his face determined. "We'll fill it with marks." Crag laughed his grinding rock laugh. "So confident." "Good. It makes for a better show when confidence breaks." A loud horn sounded, making the walls vibrate. "It begins," Crag said. "Listen carefully to the rules. Each human will fight one Terrak champion. Single combat. If you win, you make your mark. If you lose," he drew a finger across his throat. "How many must win for Earth to be protected?" Han asked. 3 victories will earn Earth protected status," Crag replied. "Fewer, and your planet becomes our hunting ground." The humans looked at each other. 3 out of 6 needed to win. "Who goes first?" Ji asked. "Strongest first," Crag said, pointing at Da. then down the line, weakest last, his four eyes all focused on Jia. Day was given armor and a weapon, a short staff similar to what he had trained with. He stepped into the tunnel leading to the arena, his back straight and proud. "I'll make the first mark," he said to the others. Then he was gone. The remaining humans could see the fight on a screen in their waiting room. Day fought bravely against a huge Turok. His speed and strength impressed even the alien crowd. After a hard battle, Dai managed to knock his opponent down and win. When he returned, bleeding but smiling, he made the first mark on Earth's wall. "One," he said. Jai went next. Despite her power, she was outmatched by her Turok opponent's greater reach. She lost her fight, returning with a broken arm. "One win, one loss," Crag counted with obvious pleasure. Wu won his fight through clever tactics, making the second mark on the wall. Yu lost to a particularly brutal champion who used a whip-like weapon. Min almost won, but was defeated in the final moments of her match. 2 wins, 3 losses, Crag announced. "Now for the small one. Earth's fate rests on you, little human." The others looked at Jia with mixed expressions. Dai and Ji seemed to have already accepted defeat. Wu and Min wouldn't meet her eyes. Only Han gave her an encouraging nod. "You can do this," Han whispered. "Remember, they've never seen anyone fight like you." Jia put on her armor, which Ta had specially designed with hidden sound devices. She took a deep breath, touching the medical alert bracelet she still wore as a reminder of where she had come from. "What weapon do you choose?" Crag asked. "None," Jia replied quietly. Crag's 4 eyes blinked in surprise. "No weapon. Against Vren, our greatest champion." He laughed. "Your death wish is granted." As Jia walked toward the arena tunnel, Dai called after her. "Why did they send you? You'll doom us all." Jia turned back. "They sent me because sometimes the strongest weapon isn't what you can see." She stepped into the tunnel. The roar of the crowd grew louder with each step. Light appeared at the end, bright and harsh. Jia's heart pounded, but her hands were steady. She entered the arena to face Vren, the Turok champion who stood nearly 8 feet tall, his gray body covered in scars from hundreds of victories. The crowd went silent for a moment, shocked at the small human who had entered. Then they erupted in laughter and jeers. Earth's fate now rested on the shoulders of the girl everyone had always called fragile. Vren, the Turok champion, looked down at Jia with all 4 of his yellow eyes. His gray skin was covered in battle scars, and muscles bulged from every part of his body. In one hand, he held a huge metal club that looked heavier than Jia's entire body. "This is an insult." Vren roared to the crowd. "They sent me a child to fight." The alien audience laughed and shouted. Many were placing bets on how quickly Jia would fall. In the center of the arena, a Turok official raised his arms. "Begin," he shouted, then quickly moved away. Vren charged forward immediately, swinging his massive club in a wide arc. Jia simply stepped back, letting the weapon pass harmlessly in front of her. Vren swung again and again, but each time Jia moved just enough to avoid being hit. "Stand still and fight." Vren growled in frustration. The crowd began to boo. They had expected a quick, bloody end, not this strange dance. From the waiting room, the other Earth fighters watched on the screen in confusion. "What is she doing?" Dai asked. "She's just running away." Only Han understood. "No," he said quietly. "She's studying him." And Han was right. With each attack, Jia was carefully watching Vren's movements. She noted how he shifted his weight before striking. She saw the slight delay when he turned to track her with his 4 eyes. Most importantly, she identified the rhythm of his breathing. Something Captain Hyun had taught her was crucial for timing her attacks. After 2 minutes of dodging, Jia had seen enough. The next time Vren swung his club, instead of backing away, she darted forward, moving into his blind spot. Before he could turn, she struck 3 precise blows to a nerve cluster under his arm. Vren roared in pain and surprise. Part of his right arm went numb, and he nearly dropped his club. The crowd fell silent. "How dare you?" Vren spun around, swinging wildly. But Jia was already gone, moving to his other side. This time when she struck, she activated one of the sound devices hidden in her armor. It emitted a high-pitched tone that humans couldn't hear, but that affected the Terek's sensitive inner ear. Vren staggered, momentarily dizzy. Jia used this chance to strike again, hitting another nerve cluster. Vren's left leg buckled beneath him, and he fell to one knee. The crowd was completely silent now. Commander Crag stood up from his seat, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief. Vren struggled to his feet, his breathing heavy. "What trickery is this?" he demanded. "Not tricks," Jia replied calmly. "Knowledge." Vren threw his club aside and lunged at her with his bare hands. It was exactly what Jia had been waiting for. As his arms reached for her, she slipped beneath them and struck upward, hitting the most sensitive nerve cluster in the Terok body, a point at the base of their throat that Captain Hyun's research had identified. Vren froze. His whole body trembled. The pain from that single strike was more than he had ever felt in hundreds of battles. Jia circled around to face him. She activated all of her sound devices at once. The combined frequencies targeted the Terok's equilibrium, making it impossible for Vren to stand. The mighty champion collapsed to the ground. He tried to rise but couldn't coordinate his limbs. Jia stood over him, her small hand positioned perfectly to deliver one final strike to a deadly point. Another secret that Captain Hyun's team had discovered. "Yield," she said quietly. Vren looked up at her with all 4 eyes. For the first time in his life, the champion felt fear in battle. This tiny human could kill him with her next move, and they both knew it. "I yield," he gasped. The arena was silent for 3 heartbeats. Then chaos erupted. Nothing like this had ever happened in the history of the Terok Games. A champion had yielded to an opponent half his size who hadn't even used a weapon. The official approached cautiously. "The human wins," he announced, his voice shaking. Earth now had 3 victories. They would be protected. Jia offered her hand to help Vren up, a human gesture he didn't understand. She walked away, leaving the mighty champion sitting in the dust, staring after the small girl who had defeated him with nothing but knowledge and precision. The return journey to Earth was very different from the first trip. The Terok ship was quiet. The aliens treated the humans with careful respect, especially Jia. Word had spread quickly about how the small human had defeated their greatest champion. Commander Crag himself came to speak with Jia on the 2nd day of their journey home. "You have changed how we see humans," he said, his voice less harsh than before. "We thought your kind relied only on strength, like most species." "There are many kinds of strength," Jia replied. Crag nodded. "My people will honor our agreement. Earth will be protected." Even Da and the other prime candidates treated Jia differently now. Gone were the mocking looks and harsh words. Instead, they asked her questions about her training and techniques. "I never thought someone could fight that way," Da admitted, "without using power." "Power is useful," Jia said, "but it's not everything." Han smiled at her. "You've proved what my father always said, that true strength isn't always visible." When they landed on Earth, crowds were waiting. The news of Earth's victory had traveled ahead of them. Captain Hyun and Commander Du were the first to greet the returning fighters. "You did it," Captain Hyun said to Jia, his usually serious face breaking into a smile. Commander Du bowed to her, a sign of deep respect. "I was wrong about you," he said, "and wrong about what makes a great fighter." In the weeks that followed, Jia found herself treated like a hero. People who had once called her Fragile Jia now pointed her out with pride. But fame didn't change her. She still remembered what it felt like to be underestimated and overlooked. 1 month after the return, Commander Du invited Jia to the training facility. There, he showed her a new program he was starting. "The Jia Kim Combat Academy," he announced, a place for people with physical limitations to learn fighting techniques that don't rely on raw strength. Jia walked through the training rooms, seeing people of all kinds, some in wheelchairs, some missing limbs, some with conditions like her own. "Will you help train them?" Commander Du asked. Jia watched as a young girl with a leg brace tried to copy a basic movement. She reminded Jia of herself not long ago. "Yes," Jia said. "I will." 6 months later, the academy had hundreds of students. Some had joined the military. Others used their training for self-defense or confidence. All of them had been told at some point that they were too weak or too fragile. One evening, as Jia finished teaching a class, she found her parents waiting for her. They had struggled at first to understand their daughter's new path. They had spent her whole life trying to protect her, only to find she had protected the whole planet. "We're proud of you," her father said simply. Jia hugged them both. "Thank you for caring for me all those years. It gave me time to find my own way to be strong." That night, Jia received a message from Captain Yun. The Terok had spread word about Earth's fighters to other alien species. Many were now interested in learning about humans and their unusual combat methods. Earth was gaining respect across the galaxy. Jia stood by her window, looking up at the stars. She remembered how it felt to be the smallest, weakest person in any room. How it felt to have others make choices for her, thinking she couldn't protect herself. Now, because of her, people looked at those with physical limitations differently. They understood that strength took many forms, that sometimes the greatest power came from the most unexpected places. On her desk sat her old medical alert bracelet. Beside it was a new one, a symbol of honor given to her by the Earth Defense Force. Jia picked up the old bracelet and smiled. She would keep it as a reminder of where she came from. The girl they had called fragile had become the symbol of humanity's true strength. Not raw power, but adaptability, intelligence, and the ability to turn perceived weaknesses into advantages. Jia's story had only just begun.